Hey everybody, in this video what I want to do is just show you some of the other ways to work with your data in Dremio external to Dremio. This is generally going to come up in two different ways. One, you connect an external AI agent interface to Dremio via Dremio's MCP server. Every Dremio project has an MCP server. I'll give you a quick tour of how you set it up with Claude. Okay, and then two, connecting to Dremio via its Iceberg catalog. So you can connect to the catalog directly via engines like Spark, DuckDB, and others, and actually run queries against your Iceberg tables and create Iceberg tables external to Dremio by connecting to the catalog. You will still need Dremio to query your views, especially if there's differences in SQL dialect, but you can at least work with your Iceberg tables externally using whatever engine you'd like. Okay, cool. So first, let's show you where you can find some of this information. So if you go to some important information here, one of the important pieces of information is one like your JDBC connection URL. If you want to connect via JDBC in your particular things, programming languages, your MCP server. Okay, so here's where you find your MCP server URL. This all does require authentication to connect. Okay, but also if you want to find the catalog information for connecting to external engines, you're going to want to click on here on external engines, and here you'll find the information far as authenticating with Spark. Okay, so a couple of things to point out. The URLs should be right above here. Where are the specific URLs? They're also in my blog, so I'll show you my blog in a second. But somewhere in the documentation you'll find the URLs for, actually they're right here in the, so like right here, like here's like the login URL or the auth URL for Dremio Cloud for your Spark settings, and then the catalog URL. Okay, and the catalog URL is uniform, it's not dynamic per project. It'll determine what project you're doing it based on your PAT token. So the PAT token will kind of tell it, hey, it's this project. Okay. And then the catalog name would be your project name. Okay, so for my case, that'd be first catalog. Okay, we're going to demonstrate that in a second. Cool, but I just want to show you where you find this information. Okay, so first let's show you like a little bit about using the MCP server. So like if you have a Cloud account, what you would do is you would go to your settings, okay, and you would go to your connectors, and you would click add a custom connector, and then literally here you would just put the name of the connector, and then you would add a remote MCP server URL here as your auth client ID. This would just be your account email address, and then this would be your PAT token. So you would generate a PAT token and put that here, and what's going to happen is that it's going to want to connect, and then it's going to open up Dremio for you to authenticate, and then you would just authenticate from there, and now you can start using it. Now keep in mind, this is for a Claude personal account, so that was like my personal Claude account. If you want to use it with like a commercial Cloud account, like your company has provided you a Cloud account, it would be up to the administrators of Claude, and this is going to be the same thing for generally most company administered AI things, that these kind of MCP connections are going to be established by the admin account and then shared with you the ability to actually use those external connections. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, I do have this blog. Let me open up the blog, dremio.com/blog. It's also been linked in the video descriptions. The hands-on introduction to Dremio Cloud Next Gen. Here we can actually test out Spark by spinning up Spark locally on our computer using Docker. So first, here's the command to kind of spin up Dremio in Docker. Okay, now ideally you would put your PAT token in there so that it's inside your environment variable. I am going to do this off screen so that way you don't see my PAT token. Okay, so I'm going to paste the command, then let me go get a PAT token, but let me do that off screen. Okay, so I'm generating my PAT token. Actually, I'll show you the first part. Okay, I'll click down here for my user account settings. That's going to take me to this screen. I click personal access token, and then I'm going to click here to generate a new token. Okay, and then I'm going to enter in a name for the token, so we'll just call it Spark, and then I would generate it from there. I'm going to go off screen now to finish that process. Okay, there I have the token. Now I'm going to paste that into the command. give me one moment as I paste this into the command C. Good. There. Okay, so I'm just running that same command. That's going to start running Spark in a Docker container for my laptop and giving me a notebook environment where I can literally just use this exact code. Should work. Okay. Cool. Okay, and then, okay, we're good. So now what I can do is I can open up localhost 888. Here's going to be my Jupyter Lab environment where I can run Python code. Again, that's all part of that Spark container. So when you run this command, you'll get that whole environment immediately available. And then I'm just going to copy this code into there. Okay, so essentially this code right here is what actually connects to the Dremio catalog. So here I'm setting up some variables. So here's like the link to where the Dremio catalog URL is. Here's a link to the URL is. Now this should be first project because it's going to be, because again, if you remember from the first video, I took the hyphen out when I did first project. But just to confirm that, let me go back to my project, which is, where did it go? Oh, I have it over here. Okay. Well, I'll just delete the token immediately after this video. Okay. So there we go. But I want to see, like, again, confirm that the name of my project is first project. So that's going to be what I want here as a catalog name. Because essentially behind the scenes, the way this is implemented is that each organization is a Polaris instance or a Polaris realm. Okay. Because there's this sort of unit of multi-tenancy. So essentially each organization is a realm, and then each project in a Dremio organization is a catalog. Okay? So if you ever use Polaris by itself, basically you have your Polaris account, or your Polaris thing, by default is just one realm, and then that realm can have as many catalogs underneath it. Okay, in this case, your organization is a realm that can have as many projects or as many catalogs underneath it. So your catalog name is your project name, just to understand why that's the case, to connect those dots. Okay, cool. So this connects the catalog. And then again, notice the way I set this up where I name it Dremio. This right here, this part can be anything. So you can name it whatever you wanted, but this affects how I refer to it within Spark. Okay. So keep in mind that this is technically at the top level. So this is so when I'm using it in Dremio and I type in, like, I see this like data set in here, like Dremio.finance. In Spark, that's going to end up being Dremio.finance, because in this case, whatever I name the catalog is what I'm really naming the project. Okay, so if I really wanted to kind of like match what I'm seeing in my Dremio UI, I would probably be better off calling this like first project. So that way it matches my project name. So that would be like first project.dremio.finance. As far as like just trying to think of like the relative name spacing. Okay. But yeah, basically these settings are going to generally be the same afterwards. So like if you have this code, this will work. Okay. But then you see here, I'm going to create some namespaces. So I'm going to create like a new namespace called DB. And I'm going to create some tables in it and some sample data in it. So I'm going to run this code. And this code is not running in Dremio. So this is not going to use up Dremio consumption units. That's the open part of Dremio being the open lakehouse platform. Again, if you want to create a separate agentic experience outside of Dremio, you can connect, Dremio's MCP server to an external AI agent interface. If you want Dremio's integrated AI agent to use your own AI model, you can do that. Okay, if you want to use your own compute with some other engine against your iceberg tables in your Dremio catalog, you can do that. Dremio is an open platform. We try to provide you the best experience and best tools at every level, and a managed experience to go with that. But again, you don't have to use it to take advantage of the platform. Okay, at every step, you can bring in other things when needed. Okay, but this code's going to run, and again, this is all running on my laptops. And look, it's already done. Cool. So I should be able to now, well, actually it's still finishing up. It's still writing the tables, or writing the data to the table. Okay. But yeah, this is all done with my laptop, not with Dremio Compute. Point being is that I consume no consumption units aside from the storage I may have taken from creating these tables. Okay, so now, again, how fast will that show up in here? Again, it depends on the metadata refresh, but you'll start seeing eventually you'll start seeing that DB namespace showing up in here, but I should already be able to query it. Okay, so I should now be able to query, let's see here, what was it called? Oops. It was called DB. Oh, that's. Let me look at the code. Okay, db.orders. Okay, it's one of the two tables I got created. So I'm just gonna remember that. db.orders. So let's go query it. So let me go select star from db.orders. Okay, so even if I don't see it necessarily in the UI yet, it's in the catalog, and that's where Dremio, that's going to be the source of truth. So then I can just do run db.order, select star from db.orders, and the query works. Okay, so you notice I just wrote that data with Spark outside of the Dremio environment directly to my Dremio catalog, and it worked just fine. Okay, and again, there are going to be similar settings for DocDB, for Trino, for Snowflake. You can bring external compute to the tables you have in Dremio because it's Apache Polaris. Apache Polaris implements the REST catalog interface, and the REST catalog interface can plug into any engine that supports the REST catalog interface. And again, you can bring those Dremio's AI features into any AI application using MCP. Again, Dremio is the open platform. You have, JDBC, ODBC, Aerofy. There's other ways to connect to Dremio, to send the Dremio engine, SQL, to do whatever you want. So again, there's the Dremio UI that gives you a lot of really cool powers, but again, there's things that you can do. You can take advantage of Dremio from the Dremio UI as much as you like. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. I'll see you all later. Have a great day and enjoy.